So my class is called Lead Like Jesus. And you would think that if anybody knew how to lead like Jesus, or were at least pursuing leading like Jesus, it would be the people of the church, those who are given responsibility to lead in the community of faith. But if experience teaches us anything in the church, we discovered pretty quickly that maybe we are exactly the people who need a refresher course when it comes to what it means to lead like Jesus. Far too often, we take our cues from the high achievement, high octane business world. And there's nothing wrong with that, except for everything that the world is aimed at and that the church ought to be aimed at are diametrically opposed to one another. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't learn from the world. Moses learned how to lead in Pharaoh's court. But to lead like Jesus means that we hold everything up to the light of Jesus, to his leadership, to what he showed us about what God's purposes are in the world and how we're supposed to be on mission with him in the world. So we do that. Obviously, we could look at a lot of faithful men and women of faith who have tried to lead like Jesus. Amy Carmichael, Billy Graham, D.L. Moody, so many faithful men and women, Hannah Whitall Smith. But I think if we're going to learn to lead like Jesus, we have to look at Jesus. And so the textbook is really only one. It's the Bible. The good news about the scriptures is we can see what not to do. In fact, there are more examples about what not to do when it comes to leading than what to do. So we could take the whole Bible, but for the purpose of this conversation we're going to have over the next several sessions, we're going to look at just what happens when God picks out an earthly king by looking at 1 Kings, the book of 1 Kings. And then we're going to jump over to the Gospels and see how Jesus shows us the corrective expression of what the king after God's own heart ought to look like. I'm Bryan Collier, and this is my service school course.